fuck is the matter with people in this business?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are you there? Come on in. The chat room is open. We are alive, somewhat alive this morning. I've got coffee. Got your V8 juice, Daphne?
Yeah, and energy drink water.
There we go.
Yeah.
And Mr. Varian Grant's in the house, though he's not on camera this morning. Varian, how you doing?
I am hanging in there. About the medication, I won't be here all morning, but I'm going to take my medication and then head off to the doctor. And yeah, that's my plan. Big plans for today.
Hey.
Want to welcome everybody to the Breakfast Buzz. It is the 15th of October, 2020. It is a Thursday, and we appreciate you listening in wherever you are all around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. So we hope you're ready for 2 hours of buffoonery. We are. We're pretty sure we are. We're still pouring coffee. Come on in, folks. Come on in. The chat room is open. The YouTubes is running. And we are live.
Randy, I was listening to an audio book the other day, and the gentleman said that and I think there's some truth to it. He said that the reason why American comics or American artists aren't taken seriously is because Fred Wortham and his cronies, when they got the code installed, we ended up having to push comics toward children, and it never recovered from that. We had to push comics toward children.
Oh, we need to, yes. Yep.
And so because of that, because it was thought to be children's literature, children's entertainment, and children's only entertainment, they were looked down upon. He says, while in France, they were having a revolution about art that we never had here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess that's true. It's kind of triggering, kind of upsetting, but yeah.
I mean, I was following somebody who lived in France for a while, and they said that they teach Milo Manara in the art schools.
I believe that. Yeah.
I mean,
well, they have a whole different look for
it's
eroticism and nudity over there. So
no, but even then, it's like, Milo he's an artistic force to be reckoned with, even without the erotica. So it's like
exactly.
It's different. It's different there.
Come on in, everybody. It's the Breakfast Buzz. We have Joe D. McFall in the house. Joe, how you doing?
I'm here just
for
a couple of minutes, and I'm just kind of catching the tail end of what you was talking about here, and hearing that name and thinking about the controversy over here with comics dealing with the cover that he did.
Oh, I got opinions on that too.
It just makes you think about double standard, to be quite honest, because if the male counterpart to that character did the exact same pose, you do not hear not a peep.
Well, the thing is, though, there wouldn't been a male character done in that pose. You don't hire Milo Manara because you want to see Wolverine's ass in the air.
Exactly. I mean, I get that point, but
there's quote number one for the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a DLSV people. DLSV.
This is the proper time to run this. The reviews and the views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Indie Volt Media LLC and do not reflect the official policy or position of any guest or sponsors. Viewer discretion is advised. Besides, we haven't heard from Varian about whether or not he wants to see Milo Manara draw guy with his ass in the air.
In the air, right, exactly.
I mean, if it was Wolverine, I mean, it's my favorite character, maybe.
They've about desecrated the character every other way possible, right. So why not?
Marvel have released actual comic book pages where you have Venom and Spider-Man talking about pounding one another on the beach. So you never know.
Uh, when they're not redrawing legacy books, right, Randy?
Yeah, that's a story for another time.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, everybody, come on in. We see you out there. We see
Maybe
you out
maybe
there.
when we're more awake and not stress eating Oreos.
You're stress eating Oreos. Right?
Well, it's been a week, like I said.
Yeah, Alex is in the house. Good morning, Alex. Hope
Good
you're doing well.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Glenn. Glenn's awake. It says, "Hey guys, hey Glenn." We should all introduce ourselves. Varian, did you want to go first, since you're probably leaving first?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Varian Grant. I'm the founder of Indie Vault Media LLC. I started making comics way back in the good old was it 2008?
Yeah,
Good
way
old,
back.
Long time ago.
Yeah,
we didn't have
way back.
Yeah, it was great back then. We had flip phones.
The good old days.
Yeah. So I've not been on Indie Vault a lot lately, and especially not on camera. But hopefully that changes soon. Hopefully my health gets a little bit better, and I can start getting in the camera screaming again.
Joe, the boats are going by your apartment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I took care of them. I was like, nope. No docking.
No docking.
No docking. Nope.
We're also joined by Joe D. McPhee, which he won't be here for a whole long time, but he's welcome to stay for as long as he wants. Joe, introduce yourself.
I'm Joe D. McPhee. I am the president of C2C Studios, creator of Amazonia, AWF, and Primetime Saturday Night, of which Amazonia #1 10th anniversary edition is currently on Kickstarter. We're in our last 3 days of our campaign here, and we're trying to achieve more of our stretch goals at this point here.
And you're only here for a few more minutes until your boat comes in?
At least another 30 before I have to go here.
Awesome. We're also joined by Daphne Lage. Daphne.
Hey, good morning. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist and illustrator and comic book artist coming out of New York. I am the artist of the funny animal fantasy comic Tall Tales and the upcoming Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, premiering on Kickstarter January 4th, 2021. You can check out my work and sign up for updates at talltales, TAILS online.com, and my YouTube channel at Daphne Lage Art.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Russ.
We're also joined by Mr. Russ Leach. Russ, introduce yourself.
Morning. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm a bit late. My name's Russ Leach. You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt, or at my websites, russleach.com or comicbookblackbelt.com, or at my website, onlydeathcansavus.com, which is my new book. I'm an illustrator, comic book artist, and storyboarder.
Awesome. And hello, everybody. I am your host today. I'm Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime alternative and independent comics creator, and just comic fan in general. I've done just about everything in this direct market that you can, and sometimes more than 2 or 3 times. I'm a convention coordinator, was a retailer for many years, met my wife, in fact, while I was retailing, and I'm a writer, artist. Right now I'm specializing in commercial and graphic or sequential artwork for advertising and education purposes, which seems to pay a little better than the mainstream anymore. We want to welcome everybody to the Breakfast Buzz. The chat room is open. We're more than open for your suggestions or comments. So please feel free to chime in. Glenn Ford says, hello, Daphne.
Hey, Daphne. Good morning. I owe him an article.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Wrong Glenn. but good morning anyway. I owe someone else an article. You see, that's why I've had a long week. I'm sorry.
I can never get your channel name right, Glenn, but Glenn does some awesome toy reviews. I know it's Ionicus. What?
Ionicus toy reviews.
Ionicus toy reviews. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very, very much. But anyway, he does great toy reviews anyway. So Glenn also says, "Hey, Russ Leach, get any Robin Leach jokes lately?"
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully not lately.
Let's,
That's a little dated.
let's go right over the top of my head.
Right over his head, Glenn.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
Glenn.
that's how you
Good
know.
note.
That's how you know how old we are. The ones,
exactly
the people who get it.
There's no geographic hold back there. I'm not being held by the fact that I'm in the UK that I know who Robin Leach is.
I used to
You
want to
made,
be interviewed by Robin Leach.
you made Glenn laugh. Yeah. We all wanted to be interviewed by Robin Leach at one time or another.
I see. Okay.
He did Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Ah, right. I know that program. I know that program by name. Okay.
He's
Yeah,
probably
no,
a great uncle of yours on the side of the family that you don't speak to anymore.
Apparently, my great uncle or cousin was I can't remember his name now. I'll come back to it later. He was a very famous actor from a long time ago. But I didn't get any money, so what the hell?
A long time ago, probably meaning the 80s.
Oh no, further back than that. A proper long time ago, not just a flash of the eye.
Varian, when we first started podcasting, asked me who Wally Wood was. So
What? Oops.
that's how young he is.
Yeah.
I remember now. Jack Hawkins. There you go.
Never heard of him.
No, probably not. It was an English actor. Big over here in the British films.
What was the name again?
Jack Hawkins.
Hawkins?
Hawkins.
With an H?
I think it's Hawkins. That was my grandmother's name. So.
Oh, cool.
I spent the last 2 days trying to explain to my son that Ed Gaines created Mad Magazine, so don't get me started.
Oh no!
Yeah.
See, today is not a good day for names.
I can't really pick on him too much because I had Kyle Baker and Kyle Ritter mixed up on Tuesday. There's a number of actors named Jack Hawkins, I'm afraid. There's at least two. Oh, there we go. Let's go for the older. The black and white photo. Here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's very familiar.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. He was in Zulu. He was in Ben-Hur.
Yep. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Bridge on the River Kwai. Awesome.
Yep. But I didn't get anything.
Okay.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Damn.
If only I could have sampled some of his estate when he left us.
That's not how that works. Yeah.
No.
That's how that works.
I only have bullfighters in my family.
Uh-huh.
Well, my grandma's maiden name was Richards, so I figure I'm related somewhere to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'd take that.
They've
Definitely take that.
I've had relatives on cops.
We laugh, but we know you're serious. That's okay.
I have an aunt that's a politician that brings great shame upon my family at least once a year. I always call Randy or Dreaded Dinosaur, and Dreaded Dinosaur will message me, "Did you hear what your aunt said?" And I'm like, "No." That's what he said. He almost got me on Crowder one time. He's tweeting Crowder and me like, "Hey, Crowder, is that guy's name? Yeah, Varian is her nephew." Because she was running for re-election, and her running mate or opponent was an Asian woman, and she got up on stage and said, "Come on, y'all, don't vote for the Chincho."
Oh my goodness, no.
That's hideous.
Yow.
That's hideous.
And I said, and so I had to do an apology tour to all my Asian friends, even though it wasn't.
Like, why can't you just do a Kickstarter like everybody else? had to go into
God.
politics.
Mom, take the safer route. Proclaim your comics gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a hot mess all around.
I should have just ran over when that happened. Like, oh, well, that's it for me.
Ooh, no, I'm not related to her at all. Yeah. It's like the wonderful year I spent trying to explain to everybody I wasn't related to George at all.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's right.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
no.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
I got
Oh
a
my
lot of that.
God.
So, are you related to George? No, I'm not. I'm not related to George, and I'm not related to Ron either. The writer of the Rawhide Kid books. Not related. No.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Yeah.
There's over in Germany. There's a lot of Zimmermans, just like Jones.
Huh.
So we got the name just associated with the family just long enough to hook the name and have it go through the lineage.
And you know what's messed up, Randy, is that sometimes when I tell people like, oh, Randy Zimmerman, they're like, who? Randy Zimmerman. It's that last name, that Zimmerman. They're like,
Yeah.
It's like,
Sounds sus.
yeah.
Well, we know what that means. Yeah.
You can say Duke. You can say David Duke. You can say any other name you want. You can have last name of Manson. Everybody's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now it's Zimmerman. What do you mean, Zimmerman?
Well, being up here in the Flint area for a while there, I was introducing myself as Randy Zimmerman, no relation to George.
Oh boy.
You had to do it.
Had to do it,
Yeah.
or I would get that look like Zimmerman.
What is wrong with people?
No, for real. That yeah. Makes
McPhee
that
had
clip
it easy.
that clip in the beginning. Apropos.
Yeah.
What the F is wrong with people?
Right now, I'm about to get my
What the
candy.
fuck is the matter with people in this business?
Lola's standing over me, and she's
Uh-oh.
demanding that I medicate myself.
Well,
Yeah, she's,
Well, medicate. We can handle it.
she who
Yeah.
must be obeyed.
Yeah,
That's right. You must be obeyed.
yeah. She's come standing over me, hands on her hips, like she gonna do something. I'm gonna take this medicine though, but I ain't afraid of her. I'm gonna take the medicine though.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you guys something. The amount of trust you have to have, somebody who just pan you pills and say, take this, and you just do it.
Wow.
Like the childlike trust. Because there have been times she's come to me, she handed me pills, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I just took. That could be the pill to, finally get her that payoff. I mean, she's gonna be shocked when she finds out someone like $300, but
I'm sure she already knows.
yeah, you gonna have to cremate me yourself. Go down
John
to the
Celeste
dollar.
in the house. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, John. How you doing?
Good morning, John.
We should send you a link, John.
Oh, he's
Talk
probably on
about-
his morning walk.
Probably is. Glenn says my grandmother was related to the actor Rob Estes.
Oh, there you go.
Marvy's in the house. Good morning or good afternoon.
Yeah.
Great to see you all. Good afternoon,
Marv.
Marv. He's on his lunch break right now, listening to us all the way from Portugal, which is just an hour away from Russ.
It is. It is. I don't get a lunch break.
We're artists. We never take lunch breaks.
No.
You guys, we talked about this before, but do you guys remember the good old days when you could have
The good old days to you are like 2008, though, right?
Yeah.
What?
well,
Go ahead.
no, when you could just have an art table and then have to have like a microphone and a camera aiming at it and headphones. Remember those good old days when you could just have an art desk and it was solitary?
Yeah, actually.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, actually.
I'm like Kirby. I
And
still
now-
have the same one I had when I was 19.
Yeah, so do I.
See,
Let 'em put, let 'em
now
put that in the Smithsonian one day. That's how I keep up.
you guys are gonna pick on me.
Well,
I
we
switch art
predate
desks every 5
the
years.
flip phone, so
Yeah,
You switch art desks every 5 years.
yeah.
So you're on your third art desk?
I'm on my 1, 2, 3, fourth.
Fourth?
Yep.
And
Ever since I came with age, yeah.
I used to get so messy with inking that I switched to digital.
The ink's easier to clean off of the screen that way.
Yeah, you don't get like dog doesn't eat them or anything like that. So no, I switched. I switched. And
no problem.
Yeah,
it's,
really.
I try to use it in the same way that I use traditional medium. I do still do traditional stuff, commissions and what have you, and obviously for the campaign, I'm doing a few pages. But I just try and see it as just a way of speeding the whole process up. So, for instance, you draw a figure, you think, oh, that's great, but it doesn't work. You need to go to the photocopy machine and bring down the photo. Of course, back then when I was doing that, you actually had to go to a photocopier. It wasn't like having a printer. Now you can just scan things in, print it. So you print it out, you put it on your light box, you trace it off, you do what you need to do. But now you have layers.
Yeah,
It's just as simple as that. It's
so true.
Yeah.
And now the only thing you have to do is like when that mysterious dot pops up, which one of the 500 layers it belongs to.
I do try to keep my layers in tight formation, I have to say, because they can get away from you if you're not careful. Yeah.
I remember naming each of my layers, trying to name them all. So I'm going to name them all. I'm never going to have this.
After former girlfriends. What?
I labeled them all, and then
I'm too stubborn to make the complete transition to digital.
You use that Peter's here? Which Peter, Joe?
Palmati.
Okay. I'm sorry, Daphne.
No. It's
we need to have Peter back on the program.
Yeah, he was fun.
He was good.
Peter's lovely.
Daphne, I noticed something.
Oh yes.
You have a website, Ego Works.
Yes. That's my I guess like my more general portfolio website. Although I'm going to start pushing that more when my Kickstarter starts up in January because it's more related to that one.
So I was trying to figure out, was it Ego Works or Ego Works?
Ego Works.
She doesn't have an ego.
Hi.
Unless I just don't know about it. We had
We're artists. We're all run by our egos.
I gotta ask JD. Like, does she have an ego? He's gonna be like, man, you don't know, bro. She's got that.
You can't survive this industry without one.
Yeah, that and a tough skin.
Yeah.
You know what? Turning around on somebody, holding your finger in the air, and screaming, "You mother!" That'll get you what you want when you're having an argument. I'm telling you. Joe knows what I'm talking about. And actually, I'll let you guys in on a secret. You notice that Joe and I are leaving quite early, both of us. Okay. We'll tell you why.
We're on the same boat.
There's a meeting.
Oh.
There's an African American meeting you guys aren't allowed to.
Oh, okay. Well, you know.
Special one. We have to leave. We have to have a conversation about Biden. And
we all have our secret clubs, I guess.
I'm not allowed in that meeting on 2 counts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm also in the wrong country.
Well, it depends. We have to see your credit score.
Actually, there's a little truth to that. There's a little truth to that.
If your credit score is
Marv says only Russ can save us.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know quite how I'm going to do it, but it's true.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
John says no walking this morning, Daphne. I'm busy coloring my Bloodwing Angel book.
Keep it moving, right? On to the next project.
Keep it moving.
And I think his Kickstarter still has 5 days left too, so check it out.
Yeah, didn't he move that? He moved that over to Indiegogo, or it's going to be on demand?
On Kickstarter.
On Kickstarter, he's only got
5 days left.
Glenn says another reason I'm glad I'm a writer, not an artist.
This is Randy from Indie Radio.
Good morning, Meredith.
Morning.
Go ahead.
Meredith should pop in here. She's always a good chat.
I can send her a link.
This is from Indie Vote Radio, and this is from Eman. I'm just gonna say Emmanuel. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. I'm so sorry, but he says, "Hi guys. I received a job offer from a well-known comic book creator. Okay.
I'm suspicious already.
There goes Daphne's walls.
Somebody answered your ad, Varian?
He wants me to draw his book, but has offered me $30 a page. Where I am from, this is a lot of money.
Okay.
But he's also requesting that I send him the actual artwork in the mail. He'll pay for shipping. Is this standard practice?
I mean, it's like it's like it's like depending if you're outside of the country. I mean, if he's willing to pay for it, then the shipping is not an issue for you. But I mean, if you have an issue separating yourself from those originals, or maybe it's like an additional, like you want to negotiate an additional cost for the originals, that's something that people do. But it's like nowadays with everything being digital, it's kind of hard to tell like what's the norm now when it comes to originals. I think most people like don't even think about originals anymore. What's really funny is like I just finished a piece for somebody, and I told him, it's like, oh, you want me to send you the original? And he goes, oh, there's an original? Yeah. Because he's so used to doing everything digitally.
I think for $30 a page, you should keep them. Personally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't send them for $30 because it's not just paying for the postage; it's packaging them up, going to the post office, getting doing all that stuff. It's only $30 a page, and it may be a lot where he is, but it's still about appropriate pay. And if this person is in some way a well-known name, then they should appreciate the value of people's work.
There you go. Yes, I agree with Russ 100%.
I seen Joe's face tighten up.
Yeah, because I feel this way about
that was Joe. Joe sent the letter.
Yeah. No, I didn't send the letter. It's like I feel this way about originals here because your originals are part of your portfolio. That's really your work, and people have to pay for that work. What I feel is if he wants the originals like that, he has to pay for the rights for it.
Yeah. Good call.
There's no other way. Is it standard practice to send them if they pay for them? Yes, it's standard practice. But not a lot of people nowadays pay for the originals. As long as they have like a master copy of the digital.
Yeah.
And don't ever send that original without getting a good photo copy of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Don't ever do that because you never know, especially not being in the country, how the mail's going to go. It could end up going down on the next boat going over.
I could be seen as a little bit skeptical and a little bit suspicious, but I don't see why he would need the originals as long as you had a good scan of them. Apart from for him to sell them, the writer to sell them at a greater profit. Which I see as predatory. I see that as predatory.
Right, because with this, with one of my recent jobs, I just added the original to the because it was just a pinup, so it was just like the one piece. So I added it in the price. It's like, oh, it's this much, and you get the original. And JD was kind of like tight with me about that because like, oh, he's just gonna sell the original, and you're gonna lose out on that. And it's like, look, it's just one piece, and I'm not precious about it. So, it's like, it really depends on how you feel about it at the moment. Because I don't think that in the end, I would have gained much more by having, by keeping that one piece. So it's like, it really depends on how you're feeling about the situation. If you're asking, in the end, if you're asking the question, is this normal? Then obviously you have a hesitation about adding those originals to the price.
I think just as Joe was saying, it depends on the deal. If they're paying for the rights, then fine, no problem at all. You can do what you want with it. And it doesn't have to be huge amounts. Obviously, we're talking about the artist considering that $30 a page is good for where he is geographically. That's fine. So if it was to be $50 or $60 then that's fine. It's all about proportional. It's all proportional, relative, no problem. But it does seem a little bit predatory. And if this writer, who is considered to be someone in the industry, is doing that kind of thing, I don't feel right about that.
Right.
You
I mean,
know,
but
that-
also,
You know,
and also if you're doing a whole book like
Yeah.
that, then suddenly those pieces of art become potentially more valuable dependent on the writer's name.
right.
So if the writer is a big writer and is getting, I don't know, is going somewhere in the world where $30 a page is really good, and they're getting that, they're even getting the artwork for that, and then because of their name, they're able to sell that for $150 at a convention.
Yeah.
That personally, it leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Good
we
point.
gotta
But
do what we gotta
again,
do.
it depends on what your definition of a big name is.
But exactly. I mean, like I say, this is all dependent on the
Yeah.
details, and it's difficult to
Uh-huh.
really comment on the details. But
Yeah.
it just seems like it's a little bit sort of, oh, and I want all the art as well.
Right.
Okay, why? I just
Right.
asked the question: why do you need it in a
Mhm.
day in a days of digital creations?
Right,
Why do
yeah.
you need those originals for no extra price other than the shipping?
if he
Right.
needs it for like to fulfill like a perk or a tier for a crowdfunding campaign, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But
that
I'll
would
tell you
have been
this.
worked out. That would have been worked out with the original contract. That's what makes me wonder about that.
Yeah.
Because everybody's work, you have to think about it. Even when I do pages, I consider my page as part of my portfolio. So when it comes down a little bit later down the line, let's say the book blows up, I can say I worked on this book and here's my actual physical proof, the original page that I did, as opposed to the person who paid for the artwork saying, oh, I have all the original pages and I have no claim or proof that I actually did the work other than what I say.
Now, Varian, did you say he was doing all of the artwork on those pages or
Yeah.
just the pencil?
Yeah. He's doing well. He's doing all the artwork. Yeah. And the guy wants after he's finished, the guy wants him to send them to him.
So he's doing the inking as well. It's not like he needs the physical pencils there
Right.
in order to pass it on to a physical inker.
Well, I mean,
Right.
you don't even need the physical artwork for that either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I print my own blue lines. It's like, you could do that with digital files just as easily. So, I mean, like I said, if you're asking the question, it's because you know something is off about the request. So,
For our radio
Also, I wanna
audience, we've just added to the room Meredith Logren. Meredith, how you doing?
Hey,
Hi,
good
Meredith.
morning.
Morning.
Meredith, you what do you think about that? $30 a page.
For pencils and inks?
Yeah.
It's really
that is like a steal as far as I'm concerned, because quite honestly, I've got 8 pages and I found an artist and I just we're going back and forth with negotiating, and I got him for 60, but he's got a history of delivering and doing quality work.
yeah.
Not with me yet, so I don't know, but 30 is like deal of the century as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah.
As long as does he have a history?
Well, he says the guy has a big name. He didn't say who he was. I wish he would have told me so I could say that.
Well,
cheap
that
bastard
might be a
paid me $30
liability.
a page.
I mean, I could go out in the world and say, yeah, I know somebody with a big name who's got a story,
I
and
was
it's like,
yeah, really. Uh-huh.
not really.
By the way, I've said this to Russ before. I've said it to Ines. I would much rather be insulted by someone with an accent because it sounds so much better. Predatory sounds a lot better than predatory. And I'd much rather be predatory. Like, that almost sounds like a compliment. Thank you.
Peter Palmiotti says,
Peter.
hello, all. Great to see my friends, Russ and Joe on.
Hi, Pete.
Hey.
Hey, Peter. Like
I-
we
Hello,
said,
Peter.
we'd love to have you back on here soon. So
I
let us
think
know.
on that subject, one last thing. I think it really does depend on the relative pay within the geographic area the person is
Yeah,
coming
it
from.
really,
So,
yeah.
for instance, if you're in the Philippines and somebody's offering you $30 a page, and
Mhm.
you consider that to be a day's wages,
Mhm.
then it's nowhere near. It doesn't sound as bad, does it?
Right.
No.
I think it's difficult to out and out comment on that kind of thing. Certainly, if somebody offered me the full page rate that I would hope to get, then I would be prepared to give them the pages.
Yeah.
But it would have to be the full rate. It wouldn't be a discounted rate at all. You know, even in the world of indie comics, if somebody came to me and said, "Okay, I'm going to offer you half the amount that you would expect to get, you know, on a standard rate, okay, and I want the artwork," I'd say no. You know, if that deal was then done, that they'd say, "Okay, well, hopefully we get you a bonus later because, you know, we'd hope to have a bigger target met, or there might be residuals if it goes to a publisher or that kind of thing," then okay, I can deal at that point. But if it's just flat, I'm giving you less than, you know, a day's wages to do a job, and I want all this as well, it's like, no.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think it's difficult to comment unless you know the actual geography and the actual, you know, range of the deal.
Yeah, and also it's like $30 a page. You know, it's like you know, I want to stress, like what Russ is saying, is that it really depends on where these creators are from, because $30 a page in the United States is nothing. You know, but it's like you said, $30 in the Philippines, you know, Indonesia, it's you know, the dollar goes further. So you know, but in the end, it's like you really got to know, like, really vet the person that you're looking at, and the page rate. And I mean, it's like a friend of ours, he was talking about how he kind of got scammed by a colorist who had other people's artwork in his portfolio. And when he got the colored, like a colored piece back, what the guy had tried doing, from what I understand from the story, is that he cut out sections of other people's like color work and pasted them in, trying to fake coloring. You know, and it was just a mess. And it's like, and it's like, it's only when he went back later did he realize, this isn't even this guy's work on the on his portfolio, on his DeviantArt page or whatever. So
surely that's got to be harder than actually coloring it.
I would think so too. I mean, it's like, but he, you know, it's like scammers work a lot harder for their scam than if they just actually worked.
Yep, that's true. A lot of time.
So, you know, like always, you know, it's like, just because someone quotes you $30, you still got to kind of do your research as to what exactly you're getting for $30, you know.
Yep.
Can I ask something to the artists in here? Because, you know, being that I'm working on my first project solo, so I'm working with an artist, and basically we've gone back and forth as far as rate. He's seen the first 8 pages. He knows what the script is like. And he says, this is right up my alley. I'm very excited about working with this. I'm like, okay, great. You know, and I've seen some of his artwork. And that's the reason why I kind of leaned towards him first. But with those page rates, I mean, I have no problem with him, because it's my first book again, you know, with him saying, well, you know, if he wants to print books and sell them, I have no problem with that. Is that something that you're usually offered, or is it just kind of like a one-off and, you know, one and done, and you kind of walk away from the project, but your name is on there, so it's something that you can build as far as your portfolio or your resume?
I've never given a creator or an artist. I mean, I can draw myself, but when I hire another artist to do something for me, like work on another story that I've got, I've never given them permission to print it.
No.
I'll give them a certain amount of books, and I always tell them, hey, if you ever need any more, contact me. Either I'll give them to you, or you can pay what I pay for them.
Yeah,
you know, either way. But yeah, I don't think giving him the ability to print whenever he wants is a good idea because
Yeah,
No.
that
Right,
I've
only
never.
because that might be going to a
Never.
publisher or something. Okay, so I didn't know if that was again, kind of a noob question because I didn't know if that was kind of standard or do you have to have like a rock solid kind of contract?
I mean,
always have a contract. Sorry.
no. It's because it's like if you're doing, I mean, because it's like this person's doing work for hire, so it's like you kind of have to specify that look, this is work for hire. I'm hiring you to do these 8 pages, and what I'm paying for is the right to do pretty much whatever I want with these pages. I'm paying you. You're not a partner. I'm just paying you a per page rate, and that's it. There is no other negotiation to it. It's like I'm not hiring you for your personality. It's like I'm hiring you because I need these pages done. So probably in this case, you probably do want to specify maybe in writing as to what the expectations are, and just lay it out, because it's like I've never. I mean, it's like if someone comes to me for artwork, I always come on the assumption that it's like you're going to print it, and it's like, yeah, okay, great, that's my name is out there. As long as my name is out there and I get to use the artwork as part of my portfolio, that seems to be like the standard agreement that I like dealing with. Once it gets that complicated, though, then I would probably would be for the best to put it in writing that it's like, look, this is work for hire, and this is what I'm paying you for, and I'm going to do whatever I want with these pages, and that's the extent of our relationship. Yeah.
Sorry.
I would say
Go on.
it's funny you mentioned that because one of the next questions on Indie Vote Radio that was sent in was from someone else who's having a problem, and he's having an issue where his artist is now claiming to be co-creator.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, I can't stick around for this one because I gotta.
You're just gonna toss that one in the ring and run.
I actually need to hurry up because I
All right,
got
Bernie.
actually a couple of opinions myself for those 2 questions here.
Right.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
it comes back to contract.
Yep.
Always get everything written down.
Yep.
Make certain that there's penalties there for when an artist reneges on his side. But as far as what you was talking about, as far as printing rights and stuff of that magnitude, I wouldn't have that in there. That's just my opinion. That way you could be the good boss and extend certain luxuries. And when I say certain luxuries, like for example, Varian mentioned like give them so many copies. I would go even to the extent of sometimes I would give my artists copies because they were going to conventions. It's like, here's so many XY copies of the book. You can pay for them at rate. And sometimes it's like, no, here they are, and whatever you sell, keep the money. I'm doing this more as a bonus because you're doing all the hard work to sell it. It'd be wrong for me as the person who published it to say, no, give me back, give me, X, Y, and Z back, because you're the one that's doing the work at that point. That's me being, a good boss at that point.
Yeah.
I don't have to, but I normally do that. And that's one of the things that you can always say and do for people who work for you to make certain that you still have that working relationship from that point forward. As long as it's like, if I make money and you make money, we all make money in the same direction. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So true.
oh, go ahead. I gotta get out of here, guys. It's been great seeing you all.
Varian, take
Hopefully
care.
I have a better update when I come back from this appointment. Otherwise, I'll be screaming. All right, I'll see you guys later.
All right,
All right,
bye.
Varian.
Bye. Take
See ya.
care.
And Russ, you had something
Marvy, I
that
gotta do the same thing here in a few minutes too.
All right, Joe Marvy says, Meredith Peter, what's up? Peter says, hey, Marv. John says, I draw in layers like the animation process. Yeah. Yeah, my background's in apparel printing, so I do the same thing when I color. I'm dear Marvy. Marvy says, just a pitch. Meredith doing the first draft. Okay. Glenn says, hey, Meredith.
Good morning, everybody.
Peter says, yeah, I'd charge more for originals. Absolutely. Going back, Terry Fright Owl says, "Good morning, peoples. Happy Thursday. I think too early to tell."
Well,
And Myra says, "I don't even know how much I'm worth. How can we know what to charge?"
yeah, that's always a tough one. That's always a tough one. But Meredith, I have a question about that, because it's like you said that you're negotiating. You're still going back and forth with negotiating.
Well, we settled on a price actually, so
Okay.
I'm
All
pretty
right.
happy with that. Yeah.
Right, because the thing is though, because I mean, like, how much negotiating did you do? Because the way I look at it is like he has his price and you have your budget.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, and then it's like it's just trying to meet in the middle there. So, so how did that work for you? Like, did you contact him and say, well, this is my budget, or did you contact him and ask him, well, how much do you charge?
I contacted a couple of artists, and several of them got back to me with their page rate, and I said specifically for pencils and inks. And he responded with a price which is way above the highest that I was going to go, because I had that average, like the top end was for me was going to be about 60.
Mm-hmm.
And from the artists that I've seen and the page rates and some of the conversations that I've seen online, I saw the rate anywhere from 30 to 80 or 90 a page, depending on who the artist was. And so I was just like, okay, 60 is like the very top end that I can do. I need to find somebody who will be in that range. And I contacted him. His price was above. And I've seen his work. And it was just like, this is my first choice. So I said, listen, that's great. I love your work. I'm working on a horror. I basically came back and said, this is what I'm working on, without sending him a page at all. And I sent him my story pitch, and he says, I love horror. He's like, that sounds very interesting. He's like, I can come down to X amount. And I was just like, okay, well, and then I got busy. So I was like, okay, I'll get back to you. Right. I'll let you know. And it was actually about a week and a half. And I mean, seriously, because of work, I just, that was like the last thing on my mind. And then he contacted me again. He says, I actually had a job that fell through. I can meet your price. And I was like, all right, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of, I put the number out there. I said, this really is the top end of my budget. I mean, I probably could have fudged it and gone up a little bit more to meet his price, because he really was my first choice. But
remember, we're live, Meredith.
I did, yeah. But I'm gonna say this: the thing that I learned in marketing and sales is that usually the first person to speak up loses. Okay, so I think when I shut up, that was kind of to my advantage, because then he came back. He was the first person to speak up. And, and so I kind of look at it as a win, but I don't think that it's, I don't feel like it's taking advantage, because if he really follows through with the first couple of pages, he's going to get a shit ton of other work. Sorry.
DLSV.
Okay, we're TVMA DLSV. So
I was like, show.
I don't see anything wrong with that, Meredith. If he's come back to you, that's fine. Yeah. I've done similar things where I've given out a price and found myself with an available slot, gone back to someone, and they've gone, oh yeah, okay, and we've met in the middle, closer to their price. It's all about hustling. Sometimes you'll have to take a lower price. Sometimes you can get, you're lucky enough to get a higher price. In the world of comics, certainly something that I've now found out is that you don't just do comics. There's so many other things that you do as a jobbing artist and designer. And if you can spend most of your time doing comics, you're very, very fortunate. So a lot of the time, things like storyboarding and commercial illustration pay enough that you can go and get the lower pay check for the comic books that you want to be involved in. Or, of course, you can go on your own way and do crowdfunding, which is obviously something we're all doing. So if you build a big enough audience that way, then you can potentially make it the only thing you do. Because I see the advantage of having crowdfunding with your own book especially if you're an artist writer as well, is that if you can build a big enough audience, then they're your customer, instead of having a publisher and then beyond that a bookstore or somewhere where you distribute a channel. They're coming directly to you. So there is the potential to do that, but most of the time artists are doing lots and lots of different things. So.
Oh, but okay. So the yes, there
Glenn
really
Ford
is.
says there's a special ring in hell for scammers. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
Marv says, I'll see you all later. Having a day job sucks, but I'll be a
Tell me
full-time
about it.
comic book creator.
Tell me about it.
Oh yeah. Be safe and see you soon. Take care, Marv. I know you'll be listening to us on the archives. Glenn Fleming says, hey guys.
That's the Glenn I owe
That's the
an
Glenn.
article to.
There you go.
I owe you an article.
Glenn Ford says later, Varian. Yep, sorry to be so far behind. Says, yeah, you will. At Marv Artwork, Peter says goodbye. Glenn says, I got to go myself. Got to get some sleep. Go get some sleep, Glenn.
Yeah, really.
Says, have a good stream, everyone. We will, Glenn. We'll catch you on the flip side, I'm sure. Peter says, Meredith Logren, language. Hee.
I know. I can't help it.
It's all right.
Yeah. No, but the thing is that we're almost forgetting the question that Varian lobbed into the ring is that what happens when an artist starts claiming they're a creator, that they all of a sudden are like a partner when that wasn't negotiated.
Send the boys around.
Yeah, really. We have friends specifically for this.
I do my own debt collecting.
Oh, wow. You know,
I'm taking notes, guys. I'm taking notes.
Right. No, because what's funny, because I know that this was actually a conversation that me and JD were having the other day, because it's like, and he says that's the main reason why he really stresses the work for hire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, look, I'm paying you and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if I wanted you to be a partner, I'd negotiate you as a partner, but I'm paying you. So that helps when, just to clear that up. Mm-hmm. You really got to clear that up beforehand. If it's one thing I remember from one of my
one question up to that standpoint here, and I'm approaching it putting my writer's hat on at this point. As a writer coming to an artist, and the artist is saying, hey, I'm co-creator of this because I designed the character. Mm-hmm. I made the character look a certain way for it to stand out. And, I'm doing all of the other legwork to make your story pop. Why don't I have that right to be a co-creator? Because without me, your story would not work out the way that you intended to. And the way that I look at that is like, it comes back down to whatever you agreed upon. Mm-hmm. That was never talked about. One can assume that they're a co-creator, but if it was talked about, if it was contracted out correctly, they don't have a leg to stand on one way or the other. So it is always very valid to either get it on paper, get it in some type of file, whether it be through Messenger, where something is written, where it could be shown that you discussed X, Y, and Z before you even go that route of who's creator, who's co-creator, and all this other stuff. Because you could go to any artist and have their artist rendition of that character, and the story works out.
Yeah.
But for you to be a co-creator, there has to be some type of conversation to say that this is the de facto standard that the character has to be like. And that has to be spelled out somewhere on paper. Yeah.
Because especially like in JD's case, he works with so many different artists that it's like the idea of everybody's a co-creator, like, it's like, he has 30 co-creators. It's like, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's like you really got to nip that one in the bud if that's a concern. That it's like, look, work for hire, I'm paying you for this. I hate to actually, no, I don't hate to say it like this because you're a dime a dozen, you know, it's my story. This is what it is. You're not a co-creator. You're not a partner.
Yep. So even at Marvel, they had that problem, but it was after years of Kirby and Ditko literally writing their own stories, laying them out, and creating the villains. So then they started wondering why we're not getting a co-creator credit. So yeah, definitely. Anytime there's money exchanged, anytime you bring somebody on a work for hire basis, make sure you have that paper.
Yeah.
You have that contract signed. You have that agreement up front, because it sounds like somebody's out there grasping for more than what they were,
Well, this was an argument that I've been seeing online for like the past couple of years. But the thing is, though, it would get nastier. Literally, it would be artists going, "Oh, writers are just hacks that write on our backs," and it's like, honey, it's like, and what it is, like, I think that the more comic book projects end up at Netflix and AMC, everyone's looking at The Walking Dead as an example.
Yeah.
And it's like, and everybody thinks, "Oh, I want a part of that." And it's like, and the second I draw a line for somebody, I'm now co-creator. You can't survive without me. I'm the artist. And
whoops.
Oh, we lost Meredith.
Just lost Meredith.
And I think that that's where that argument is really coming from. Is like everybody is all of a sudden obsessed with being a part of the next Walking Dead. That now it's like contract. Yeah, that now it's like, they want. They want to like get in there, and it's like without like really understanding the context of what they're doing.
Right.
The Walking Dead is an outlier.
Yeah, that's why Joey's absolutely right. It be explicit.
Yeah.
Explicit with what you are producing and what you are bringing to a publication. You go somewhere and you have to have that written down. I'm an artist for hire. All the pages, okay, I can keep the artwork, as we had this just discussion earlier.
Yeah.
But effectively, I have no claim on the brand, no claim on the intellectual property. Right. That is the writer's property. I am simply bringing that to life. That's my job as an artist to do that. It's not my job as an artist to for this particular project that I'm signing a contract for to be the co-creator or to be in any way, shape or form the progenitor of this product. That is that writer, that is that creator's sole property. If a creator comes to you and says, "Look, I want you to produce XYZ, okay, and make something look the way you want it to look, and we will sign a contract where we have a percentage agreement," that's the contract. And it just, if it's explicit, it's explicit. There's no way anyone can say anything about it. And also it puts it down in black and white in front of the artist. And unless they are completely, unless they hallucinate a lot, which obviously a lot of artists do.
They do.
But it is there right in front of them. You are being hired to produce a page. And that's it. Walk away. Like all the concept artists for Star Wars didn't own Star Wars.
Right.
They were hired as concept artists.
Yep.
That's what they did for a living.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It also is a lesson for writers to come in onto a project when they start looking for an artist to have it fully realized. And even to the point of sitting down and doing rough sketches. And because I've done a number of superhero properties where I'll sit down and I'll sketch out exactly what I want the character to look like. So the artist is there to provide the sequentials, but the actual character creation, the actual look of the character, the feel of the character is already set in my head before I start sending him a script.
Yeah, I'm about to embark on a project with somebody else where they want me to do a style guide and put all the characters, so design the characters, put them into a style guide, then do the sequential art on it.
Yeah,
I'm not the creator. I'm not the co-creator.
Yeah,
I'm the art monkey. It's as simple as that. I do a job, and my job is to design something that he can go, yeah, I like that. No, I don't like that. That's my job, and I get paid for that. And then I will and go do something else.
Yeah.
And it's about a lot of the time it's about professionalism and understanding where you're coming from. Just because we're in a creative industry doesn't mean you can't It doesn't mean that you can leave your professionalism at the door.
Right.
That's
right.
not,
Yeah.
it's not the way it works. And a lot of young artists, and I don't want to be harsh on them, but it is the case that a lot of young artists just don't see that.
Yeah,
they don't see it. They don't see the same. They don't seem to see the same need for professionalism, and I don't know why.
The internet.
Probably the internet. Maybe because they think, oh, it's a creative industry, so I can be kind of, like that. No, you can't. If you're going to be self-employed, which is what this is about, that's the aim. The aim is to be a self-employed creative. You need to come at it with a business mind intact and be professional.
Yeah.
And so, it's all about transactions. That's what business is.
Comics is a collaborative effort that requires negotiation, not demands.
Yeah.
It's like,
perfect.
Exactly. It's like, look, it's like the writer is coming to you with certain needs that he needs you to fulfill, and you need, and you have needs that you need the writer to fulfill for you. And the idea is just to have that conversation until you get to a middle ground or decide that, you know what, this isn't for me, and that's it. It's like, I think like for Meredith, like, did you find it difficult finding somebody to do the type of art style that you were looking for? And that's why like you had an expensive number one? Or was it just you were just so enamored with their style that you were like, "Ooh, that would be nice"?
I had a choice there. So I was doing my research as far as like the genre type. Plus, I have it in my head that it's going to be a straight black and white, at least on the interiors. So I wanted to find somebody, and I scrolled through DeviantArt for days and hours, and I can't even tell you how much time I spent there, and I was taking down names of all the people that I really liked, and then I kind of did some digging on them. I wanted to see what else they produced, as far as I'm still learning terminology, but as far as pinups, covers, sequential arts, and things like that. So I had to ask those questions. Do you do sequential art? Yes. Perfect. I love your style. What's your page rate? And so I was asking those questions. Finding the genre, though, that wasn't difficult. But then it was just finding like that fine tune. It's like I was looking at, okay, what do they do as far as architecture? Can they draw architecture? Can they draw landscapes and things like that? Because in my head, I know what I envision. And hopefully in my script it had enough descriptors in there, and I have a specific area, so I'm like, do I need to send you a photograph because it has this one actual existing building or bridge, and so we're kind of he's like, he can do the research and stuff like that, but I can send him those things if that's helpful for him. We're not to the point where we've talked about that yet. But so for me, it was once I found the genre, it's like, oh, they do really excellent black and whites. That's exactly what I want. Then it was digging a little deeper. Can they deliver? Who else have they worked with? What's the word on the internet as far as, are they a pain in the ass to work with? Are they excellent? So that was kind of big. And I was willing to pay a little bit more towards the top end of my budget, and even go a little bit beyond to get that 5-star review from people. Okay.
For our radio audience, we've just passed the top of the hour. We want to say welcome. Thanks for listening. This is the BrEaKfAsT BuZz on the Indie Volt Radio Network. I am your host, Randy Zimmerman. I am here with Daphne Lage from Tall Tales, Jody McPhee from Amazonia, Russ Leach from Only Death Can Save Us, Meredith Logren from the Indie Event, and now we're joined by John the Animator, John Celeste. How are you, John?
Good morning. Good morning, breakfast clubbers.
Introduce yourself to the audience, John.
Good morning.
I'm John Celeste, a.k.a. John the Animator. I've been an animator for over 45 years. And animated all kinds of characters like Boba Fett in the Star Wars Holiday Special, She-Ra, He-Man, Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, worked on Rock and Rule, animated Batman. There's a bunch of stuff. So and I'm now doing my own comic book stuff material. And this is very interesting about the creators. Who's getting what? Who gets the bulk of the credit for doing something? And I want to make a comment on that.
Go for it.
There are two incredibly what's the word? The best examples of co-creators are Simon and Schuster. They both created Superman together.
Siegel and Schuster.
Siegel and Schuster, sorry.
Yeah.
And then there is Simon and Kirby.
Simon and Kirby, yes.
Well,
Yes.
Simon and Schuster's a bookseller.
I know.
Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Okay.
early. Come on. But so Siegel and Schuster, they were pals. They were they were friends, and they were running back and forth. They were 16-year-old boys doing this stuff, and they were together, and that was it. They created Superman together. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Simon and Schuster, rather Simon and Kirby.
Yeah,
Joe Simon came up with the idea of Captain America. Mm-hmm. He came up with it, but it was Kirby that also added to the personality and the whole element to it.
Oh, did Joe have to run?
Yeah.
Joe, I'm sorry we didn't give you the time to properly push your book, so we'll have you back on here real soon.
Well, it's like his Kickstarter is for Amazonia. So I guess if you go to Kickstarter and you look up Amazonia, and I think he said he was in the last 3 days, I think. So check that out.
10th anniversary.
Yeah.
That's the 10th anniversary book. Yeah, it's on Kickstarter, Amazonia. Folks, go over and take a look at that. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I knew Joe wanted to say something. I didn't know he was just going to jump. But
no. Well, anyway, with Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, they came together. So those two elements are two of the most iconic characters in comic book history. That was that. But if you have a creator who is a writer and created that, and then you hire an artist, no matter how much, unless you write out, it's a work for hire situation, unless you have some other residual thing. But your creator is the one who's driving the driving force, and in like an all writing elements. With the artist, they are the actors. They are the stage designers. Mm-hmm. They come in and you're going to play this role. You're very talented and you contribute to it, but it's not your concept and dream. Now, there are so many cases for TV where the actors become so important because of what they've given to it, then they wind up, benefiting financially, and they become, producers and directors and things of that sort, and they get a piece of the action, but they don't own it still.
Right.
So that's how we all should, people should understand that just because you put a line on a piece of paper doesn't mean that was important.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. It's like, I kind of think that, that's kind of like an old school, idea that, a lot of the youngins nowadays, they don't appreciate. They think everything they do is precious and they need to be, monetized for it and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, you're a dime a dozen. It's like we're in a rare, like what we do is rare in compared to the global scale. Like I think only 1% of the global population are creators and artists, but within that sphere, you're a dime a dozen. Right.
And that's the problem is that people don't understand when you get into it, you say, I'm going to contribute something wonderful. Yes, you may, but you better own it, and it better be your own idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If it's not your idea, if it's not your creation, if it's not your IP, you're just you're a stagehand.
Yeah,
and it's simple as that.
I mean,
you're a perfect example of what you were saying there about creators getting involved and getting in on the act. All the cast from Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of them ended up being directors and producers of later Star Trek, so they got involved and as a big part of the brand and IP.
Right.
They never owned it, but they benefited from giving so much to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I can experience that. I mean, my closest to that is animating Boba Fett, and I'm the first actor to do Boba Fett. In fact, I've got more screen time in that cartoon that Boba Fett has in The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. You know, but I mean, at least I get a chance to say I did that, and that is what I have for that as experience. I can point to that and say, okay, you like that? I'm responsible for that.
Right, but you don't get a check from Disney. You don't demand a check from Disney for that, though.
No, you know,
because you wouldn't get one.
Gets a check from Disney.
Yeah. You know, because I mean, what's funny is that conversely, what's really funny is coming across a lot of artists who work on something, and then it's kind of like you never hear about the fact that they worked on something. Like once they get paid, they have it's like, okay, you know what? All the promotion and everything, that's on you. I got paid for the work. I did the work. I don't have to say a word about this project ever again. Which is also something that I find strange, because I would think that if you did work on something, you would want to promote it. But a lot of times it's like, okay, I got paid. That's it.
You get that attitude a lot in the mainstream. Artists,
and I was
Marvel and
say,
DC guys.
Even writers. I mean, any kind of creator, for the most part, they are horrible self-promoters. Horrible. You know, I mean, because they want to stay busy creating stuff. You know, as a writer, you want to write. As an artist or an illustrator, you want to draw.
Right.
And all of that stuff. It's like it takes time to build up your social media and have any kind of influence or anything like that. It takes time, and it's boring. Nobody really wants to do it. It's just, but you have to, especially if you have a portfolio of work and you want to sell things, because if they don't know who you are and where to find you, you're not going to sell books. That's the bottom line.
Well, people don't understand that everybody's not self-promoted, but we are all self-employed. It doesn't matter, you know, where you are, whether you're on staff or not. You're working for yourself, because there is no such thing as permanent employment.
Not anymore. Yeah. You know, those stories where you hear about like people who worked, you know, started off at Disneyland, you know, when it opened, you know, and they started off as selling popcorn, and now they're in like the executive suite, you know, and it's like that. Nobody does that anymore. It's like you're lucky if you can survive any type of employment for longer than 3 to 5 years. It's like they don't want anybody hanging around that long anymore.
I'm unemployable now.
I say I would probably say that I am too.
I'm trying to stay unemployable.
Well, it's a goal. It's a goal.
It's a goal.
Definitely a goal.
Well, first, Daphne, I got the package and it's great. You know, thank you for and then Uncle Mikey is really
right. So you can stick Uncle Mikey on your computer or something. Yes, Glenn, I know. I owe you an article.
Glenn B. Fleming says, "Yeah, I want that my article from Daphne quick."
Yeah, no. I'll in about a week or so. Now that I have a lot of stuff out of the way, I can bang something out for you.
You still owe me a package.
Oh
I
yeah,
still owe Daphne a review.
Yeah, this is why I write.
It's all collaborative.
Yeah, Glenn says this is why I write and draw my own stuff. I can argue later with myself about who owns what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So true. Glenn also says, hi, John. And Terry Fright Owl says, hi, John. Hope you're taking good care of my Mandalorian sketch.
I've got all the Indiegogo sketches done. I'm just waiting to see, to be funded on the Kickstarter. I'm $15 away. I'm $15 away. So somewhere out there must be an aunt and uncle who reads comics and think that their kid, that their niece and nephew or what have you, would just love Mega Moose or a Snuffy and Zoe.
That's don't be cheap, people. It's $15.
$15.
You get bucks. Don't let a Kickstarter die because of $15. Only you can prevent Kickstarters from dying on $15.
That's right, especially getting a unique Christmas gift.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So
do it. Buy it now.
Yeah.
Or we'll send the boys around.
Yeah.
John, I wanted to ask, did you say you worked on Batman?
Yeah, yes. What I did was I animated 4 Batman commercials in the late 80s. That was a Canadian series of commercials for a department store called Zellers. And this is what the Batman the Animated Series was based on.
Oh wow.
Because we were doing, we did these commercials in 88 and 89. That was when The Killing Joke just came out. And it was before the first Batman movie.
Right. Okay.
With Michael Keaton.
Yeah. You got to look up these commercials because the animation is so crazy on it, the squash and stretch. It's like if Bruce Campbell was playing Batman. It's like so crazy. It's great.
Yeah. Well, it would have been the kind of animation that we could have used if Jerry Reese and Brad Bird were had gotten their Will Eisner Spirit animated feature done.
Oh, that would have been awesome. That would have been incredible.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on that, but that's the way it is. Oh, there you go.
There's a little bit of that animation now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm loving it. That's superb. That is so 80s.
Like can't you see Bruce Campbell? You can hear Bruce Campbell's voice coming out of that.
Especially that facial expression. Just
and
there,
that finger
up. Yeah, that was very Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Batman's definitely got that chin.
It was a jaw thing. Well, first of all, when you do lip sync, it's very difficult to just flap the lips and make it look like anything. I mean, especially if you want energy. And the direction by the from the advertising agency, they wanted them to be very expressive. So you get that jaw, and up and down is not as interesting as back and forth.
Yeah.
And, moving things, doing wipes where there's stretch and just a snap. All of that plays, especially on a TV screen, because remember the TV screens at back in the 80s are still maybe 19 inches across diagonally. So you want to see that happen. You wanted something, the energy, and you have to know what you're playing for. What audience do you want to see? So
I tell you what, from all the stuff that I've seen, I've seen a lot of the recent Warner Brothers Batman stuff, which I quite liked. I have to say, I thought it was very good. Yeah. But something they get wrong so often, or it doesn't quite match up, is the art style for animated features of comic books.
Yes,
and I love the Bruce Timm stuff from the animated series, but it still didn't look like a comic book at the time. Yeah. And what you've done there are parts there where it looks absolutely just like a comic book from the 80s.
Yeah,
like absolutely nailed it, and not just in feel, but the art as well. There's a few shots there of Robin and of Batman beside him as well, but in the close-up of Robin, they look like panels straight out of comic book.
Yeah.
Really good ones as well. Not just any old panel, like really good panels.
There's
that
an
was
anime
excellent
you
work.
might
Beautiful
like.
work.
JD, there's an anime you might like called Redline.
Right.
And
oh my goodness, I just saw that. Like,
yeah,
2 or 3
JD was
weeks
watching
ago.
that the other
Amazing.
day, and it's completely hand done. There's no computer enhancement in it. And I was telling JD, he's like, holy crap, it looks like they animated a comic book. This can't be Japanese. And he's like, oh no, it's completely Japanese. That's it seems that the people who worked on it were obsessed with American comics.
Yeah. They took anime and they took Jack Kirby and just ran them both together real hard.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's about the space car racers.
What I don't understand is where the talent is now in terms of the younger folks to be able to do that, because it takes a lot to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to do that kind of work, it takes a sure hand. You're talking about people with 10 years experience doing that.
Yeah.
You can't just, fabricate it. Now you can do motion capture, but motion capture is never going to be the same.
Yeah.
You're never going to get that feeling because you're still using still a puppetry aspect to it.
Still working off a framework.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, because it's like something that
we're getting an echo from somewhere.
Now, right? Do we have to start like timing ourselves out again?
I don't know.
No,
I think everybody's gone.
No, it's not. Here I am.
No, it's gone. I think it was just StreamYard.
Yeah, it must have been just a glitch. Yeah.
No, that I kind of wonder. It's like at what age that gap starts to happen, because I think like I used to follow an animator or someone who claimed they were an animator on YouTube for the longest time, and I had such a disconnect with their work, because when I think of an animator, I'm thinking of I'm thinking Glenn Keane, I'm thinking I forget their names, but all these like Disney greats and whatnot. Those are
Thomas, Ollie Johnson.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Baxter to
James Baxter.
Yeah. And that's what I think of. And then it's like, here's this person saying that they were an animator, and it's like, I had such a disconnect between the artwork that they were producing and the idea that they were an animator. And then like only later on did I find out that's like, oh yeah, it's like I'm a rigger. Like all they do is just like, I guess, like adjust the puppets.
Yeah, it's just marionette time.
Yeah.
It's the marionette kind of aspect. Very
right. And the thing is though, it's like, wow, it's like you can now be an animator without really being good at your craft.
Without knowing how to draw, almost.
Right, yeah. And it's just like I'm still bothered by
skin around a wireframe.
Yeah. It's come into comics as well.
Yeah.
There are people out there. We're in the X Factor world where everybody has everything they need to become a star except talent.
Yeah, you don't need it.
And I don't mean to be mean, but there are some people that say, "Oh, I want to do that," and they go and do it, and they can't do it.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they use 3D models. They use 3D models of people, which is my personal bugbear, and go on to Google SketchUp or whatever. Now, there's nothing wrong with using reference,
right?
And Neil Adams will attest to this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with tracing. Okay.
Yeah.
In the appropriate moments. If you're an artist and you don't admit to tracing at some point, you're lying.
Yeah.
Okay. We all have to get jobs out the door as commercial artists.
Yep.
But when it comes to drawing comic books, when it comes to being able to draw proper sequential art with energy, drama, and movement, and telling a story, which is the most important thing, okay, if you just use 3D people, or if you just use photographs to trace from, you will never be able to tell a story with energy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it will always be stilted. There'll always be something. And there's something that I learned. I mean, I wanted for the longest time to make everything perfect. And I realized that's not entertaining.
No.
Yeah.
Making everything like a pamphlet that you'd get in a plane to tell you where the exits are is not a fun comic. Okay. It doesn't look great. You want to have the inaccuracies. You want to stretch. You want to have the energy and the movement in your work to tell a story, because the world isn't perfect, and neither should your art be. That's where your style comes from, the fact that you stretch and manipulate. But you absolutely must know how to do the basics right. If you don't take that time to do it, and that's on to John's point of where is the talent coming from, because you have to put the time in. Not so much the talent, even the skill base.
Yeah.
Where is the skill base? Because people aren't putting the effort in, because they're going, oh, I can just trace this 3D person. Now that person is tracing it may well be more than capable over a period of time of learning how to draw great anatomy, but they're not pushing themselves to do it because they've got the 3D model. And it all that does is just mean that all your work will look the same, and eventually it'll be very dull.
No, it's like going back to a previous I guess like conversational moment with Meredith, where, you know, we're talking about looking for artists. And one of the things that if you're a writer looking for an artist, one of the things that you really got to pay attention to is a pinup artist is not necessarily going to be good at sequentials.
That did whiz through my mind when I was my diatribe. That was one of the other things as well.
You know, and it's like, and there's a lot of, and unfortunately there is a lot of pinup artists who think that, oh, all sequentials is just a bunch of pinups put together on a page.
Nope.
You know, and it's like one stop reading those 90s.
That's
image
too
stuff.
much image.
You know, it's like,
too many image comics in there.
Exactly.
Their
And it's like, and it's not the same thing. Someone who can do pinups, that doesn't necessarily mean they can do sequentials. And the thing is, though, a panel, as much as we want to think it's like, oh, it's like, you know, I want it to look perfect and whatnot. There's a lot of informational shorthand you have to do in a panel that you don't do in a pinup, because you got to get those panels moving, as opposed to a pinup where everything's right there and you can afford to be fussy and you can afford to be precious with everything. With sequentials that you can't. I mean, I especially learned this when I was teaching myself how to color comics properly, where it's like, you know, before I would have thought that, oh, you know, every blade of grass needs to be a separate shade of green and all the stonework in the background. And I'm like going, who has time for that? Flat color. Flat color, maybe one continuous shadow, and we're good.
I think there's a certain amount of honesty that any artist or creator has to come to for themselves to say, what do I want to do?
Right.
What do I want to specialize in? I realized some time ago that I would never have the time to learn how to digitally paint.
Right, yeah.
Because my focus is drawing comics. That's what I love. That's what I want to do. And that's what I'm doing. Okay.
Right.
So sequential art is my thing. Right. So you have to practice sequential art all the time. And there are much better artists out there than me. Much better artists out there than me.
That's hard to think of.
Making pin-ups and covers and digital paintings and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that they can tell a story.
Right, yeah.
And so you have to, as a creative, go, right, what am I focusing on? My focus is digital story. Is sequential storytelling. That's my thing. That's what I think I'm probably best suited to, and that's what I go for. And so if you're a pin-up artist, great. If you're a cover artist, great. If you digitally paint, I am in awe of you. But don't just think it's a bunch of stills, because it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much more involved in it than just a bunch of stills, and people do fall into that error sometimes.
Glenn B. Fleming says, "Well said, Russ."
Thank you.
Joe DeSantos says, "Russ Leach truth." Joe McPhee, again, sorry, Joe, that you had to run off. Says, thank you for saying that, Daphne. Says, too many pinup artists think that they can do sequential art especially since they don't want to draw backgrounds.
Oh, well,
There it is again.
because backgrounds is my bane. It's something that I'm still learning to do. I mean, it's like I have to give Joe McPhee credit for something, for one thing, and that's that his book Amazonia, because it deals with like a giantess character in it. All his panels have to be in perspective. So it's like, well, that's the best way to practice perspective, is to force yourself by circumstance to do it. But the thing is, though, it's like, and that's the thing too. It's like, just because you don't want to do something, actually that means you have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're weak in something, you have to hit that weakness head on. And it's like, and the way I look at it is like, okay, maybe my perspective, you know, is still wonky and my backgrounds are still wonky, but at least it's there. And it's like, and I know if I do this enough times, it'll eventually, it'll eventually, you know, add up somehow. But the thing is, though, I think that the most important thing, like no matter at what level of artwork you are, I think that if you can get storytelling down, that I think that of all if all the skills are a hierarchy, storytelling is like number one. Because no matter what, if you can tell that story, everything else can fall behind it. But if you can't tell a story, your most beautiful pinup of a panel isn't going to save anything.
No.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of students when I teach cartooning that you can draw stick figures like Matt Fazell, who is a genius at stick figures, but he tells an engaging story. And he's able to do that with the stick figures. That's the storytelling is the key, not necessarily your total artistic ability.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to get better. You're always going to be changing. I had that discussion with a younger artist just a day or so ago, where they were pointing out they had a friend who's on their 8th revision totally of a comic that they're trying to get printed. And it's like, no, you have to do it.
They could have had 8 issues.
Yeah.
You have to get it done and get it out there.
Yeah. And I think something else that if you apply to backgrounds as well, something else that, and certainly that I had an issue with and learned to overcome, at least hopefully, is that you don't always have to draw all the background.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of knowing within the pace of your comic strip where to place a full background and where to not place it, and where to put a partial background, where to use energy lines and strike lines and that kind of thing. So you don't want a book full of figures with energy lines behind them. That's dull. And also, more importantly, it doesn't tell the reader where that figure is. It doesn't tell the reader where your character is. But you can set up a page where you place your characters in the street or in a library, but that doesn't mean you have to draw every building or every bookcase in the rest of the page.
Yeah.
You have to just pace how you, not only the telling of the story, but what you put into each panel as well, and how that works out into a design. So I've done, talking of design in pages, I've done pages for Doctor Who where I kind of did a more sort of 90s layout as far as, you know, panels all over the place and what have you, and having fun with that. The book I'm doing at the moment is a 9-panel grid that's based on, you know, the Bronze Age grids that Kirby and BuZz used. But it doesn't matter which grid you're using, you shouldn't expect the design of your page layout to be the excitement, to be the driver of your page. It's the content of your panels that should do that. So
yeah, because there was like some Conan comics that had like 12 panels on a page, and it's like, and it's like, even with those tiny blocks, there was still a movement that kept your eye going, as opposed to just looking at a grid and like going, oh my god, this is too much.
It's just what's in the panel that's important.
You know, I learned a long time ago about using my thumbnails for animation, thumbnailing for storyboards. Doing that, if you can tell your story, if you can, you know, get your panels so you can understand maybe a 1 by 2 inch element that's all important. It's the essence of the story. And that's what people don't seem to want to understand, that because that is understanding the theory. That is the rules of storytelling, because we all react a certain way to, when you're looking at this way and that way. Well, it's better if they're talking to each other that way. Place it. Just simple things like that, keeps you placement and gives you an understanding of where everybody is. Because all you need is, as Russ said, just a setup. Once you set up where everybody is in relationship to each other, you can do close-ups, whatnot, partials, up, down, what have you. But you have to understand where to place the camera. And people don't study filmmaking, which is what Eisner was talking about back in the 40s, is placing the camera in the correct way and using that to get your feeling of emotion and whatever it is. So that's the tone. But people just like doing tone and don't understand there's a lot more to it.
Right.
I was listening to someone talk about a couple of modern artists saying that there was the angles they were using were too dramatic, and that there was something to it, because when I look back at the angles that you get from the comics that I love, there are some great dramatic angles, but not all of them are the great shot. Not all of them are the fantastic. Some of them are just well set, and it's having that three-dimensional understanding of where you are in the scene and how to get the best shot for the storytelling, rather than just over dramatize everything that you're putting on the page, because then the pace suffers. So you've got to have some pace. But then, of course, you go to the other extreme. You see some fledgling artists, let's say that every camera angle is the same camera angle, or it's flat. You just see everybody from the hips up. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of that in mainstream recently as well, which is rather disappointing, to be honest.
No, I'm going to get catty if I say that. Never mind.
Oh, God.
Joe McPhee says, sorry for dipping out the way I did. The day job needs me hard making the transition from that to doing full comics.
No shame in working to support your love.
If a comic puts the publisher into a hole, does the artist have to chip in? Nope.
No.
Peter Palmiotti said that goes back to our previous conversation. So you were responsible for the suggestive Catwoman Zeller commercial?
Ooh, sexy.
What?
Oh, yeah. All of them.
That's me.
Russ. Thank you for saying that, Daphne. Too many pinup artists think that they can do sequential art, especially since they don't want to draw backgrounds. Yeah, we covered that already from Joe. Sorry. Still catching up here. Great discussions, gang. I've got to get going. Keep up the greatness. Peter, you need to come on the show, and you need to come on the show often. So if you hear this, don't be afraid to contact us whenever we're on. We'll always have a space for you. We can have up to 12 people talking on the stream at once. Hopefully not all at once at the same time. But Joe DeSantos says, establishing shot.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Says Miller's Ronin had pages that were 12 panels. He still moved the eye. I gotta go back and dig that up. I know I've got the paperback of it around here somewhere. I've been meaning to sit down and reread that, because my appreciation for Miller is probably needs it. Glenn says this was Kirby's gripe at Marvel. He was telling the story in the artwork. Yes.
There was a joke that I used to when I would read, like, especially the Claremont ones. And I told JD, it's like, so is Claremont doing comics for the blind? Because he describes everything in his text that's already in the picture. So I don't understand why. I don't understand why he needs to repeat what's in the panel already.
It's an easy trap to get into when you're a writer. You're a writer.
Well, that was honestly with this script that I'm finding. That I found an artist for. The prose version is way different from the script version.
Sure.
I mean, and a lot of that was, kind of taking my own editor's eye and going, okay, that I don't need to describe that because hopefully that's going to be revealed in the artwork, and so it went from dialogue or your caption or your narrative into the artist notes. And so that was why I got to my 5th edit on the script. And I'm like, oh my God, it's only the first 8 pages that I commissioned because it's going into an anthology, knock wood. But the other thing that I wanted to mention was as a writer, okay, so my first comic book credit, fingers crossed, is going to be the 2 pages that I submitted to Luke Stone's story, Hybrid Sons of Gods, his trade paperback, where he invited people to submit a 2-page story to add on to his book. And so I had a specific vision in my head of what these 2 pages were going to look like. And I scripted it out as best as I could. And I sent it back. He sent it to the artist after he approved the story. And what came back was so much better than what I had in my head. So that little experience there, that 2-page experience, kind of put it in my head that if I'm going to search for a caliber artist, I want to put the trust in there that they're going to see something that maybe I couldn't put in those artist notes, because I basically ripped apart a story and tried to script it out as best as possible. So there's that trust element of, and I'm breathlessly waiting. I'm hoping once we're done with, once I actually send him some money and he gets started, he says he can start working on it next week even. And I'm like, all right, so maybe in like 2 weeks, I'll have a couple of pages that I can review as far as sketches. And then he says, then it doesn't take me that long to do the inks. And I was just like, yeah, that's what I want. I want somebody who's just like, yep, get it done, boom, boom, boom. Right. But again, it's that idea of, okay, I have something in my head. I'm trying to describe it as best as possible. But what comes out of the artist's mind could either be way off or surpass my expectations. With that 2-page story and the artwork there, I was blown away, and I was like, holy crap, he's going to make my words look good. So I think there, from a writing perspective, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like, I can't do that. So it's almost like, oh my gosh, you deserve more, because I know what it takes to learn the craft because of writing. I can't do the drawing part, so there's that appreciation and stuff like that. And it's like, oh man, it's like, I want to give them the world because they brought my words to life. And so drawing that line of, where, as far as business, or is it a collaboration? Is it a partnership? Is it, what is it? That is very important to distinguish. And maybe I have to think about maybe not being such a fangirl about it. Oh, yeah. And being more business about it.
Well, don't worry. When you end up like JD and you've commissioned your 1,000th comic book page, you're like, yeah, okay. All right, whatever. You're gonna, it's like, you stop kind of being, I mean, it's like, I'm not taking anything away from your enthusiasm. It's like, I wish, I miss those days where it's like, it was all exciting. Now it's just like, okay, all right, next.
Yes.
Next.
It's funny because somebody told me, I said, I put pause on myself because I was very excited about it. And they were like, well, what is it? What are the red flags? And I says, no, it's not that. I don't have any red flags as far as this guy. I don't have any red flags as far as my script. It's none of that. I'm like, this is an investment of money that in my head, I have to say, I have to be all right if I lose this money. I have to
Right,
be
yeah.
okay if this doesn't move beyond, hey, I have these pages now. Because, I mean, there's a possibility that nothing ever happens with them.
Mhm.
I don't see that for myself, obviously, but it's that investment of money. I'm like, I'm a tightwad, man. You know, I mean, I can feed a lot of family on a really, really tight budget, you know, so this money going out is like, whew,
It's a
that's the
luxury.
pause.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, all right. And I'm ready. So it's one of those things where there's that excitement, but I'm also like, I feel like I'm going to puke.
Well, the one piece of advice that I hope you don't mind me giving you.
No,
you know,
go ahead.
that's right. That just be careful, because you said that your 8 pages has already been through like 4 or 5 edits already. Just be careful not to fall into that trap where it's like you're just constantly editing that same 8 pages
Mhm.
over and over. There's always going to be something you're not going to catch. You know, so it's like you don't want to end up doing, you know, like an 8-page version of the comic book that gets done 8 times over.
Right.
You know, it's like you still have more pages ahead of you. So whatever you don't catch in this 8 pages, there comes a point where you have to say, you know what, I have to move on. You know,
Well,
so
I'm pretty solid with the 8 pages. I'm like, okay, once that goes to his desk, I don't really want to touch it again until it gets to maybe the letterer.
Right.
You know.
Well,
and
yeah,
go-
yeah.
And then you can kind of catch those things. But at that point, then it's just like, you know what? I don't ever want to touch those pages again. I
Right.
don't want to
Yeah.
edit them. Until I see artwork, I really don't want to look at them again.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
Have you edited the script, or is it just the story? Like as in the dialogue?
I edited the script. So I had the prose, and I said, you know what, let me try this. I know it's my first time out, and I'm probably going to make a ton of mistakes, but I sent out kind of like a beta reader to a couple of people, and they were like, this is good, you know, and they saw the prose version, so they know where it got chopped a little bit. And really the feedback that I got after, and they got that after the 4th edition of the edit, I should say. And they said, don't worry about it. They said, I see where you chopped the narration a little bit. Don't worry about that. That can be expanded a little bit more. I said, you know what? I'm going to worry about that when it gets to the letterer.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, you can save yourself some time and effort there, and wait until it's lettered.
Yeah.
And then edit your script. Then edit your dialogue. Because then you've got 2 things to look at. Not only have you got your own prose to see, you know, whether this works or not, for your own personal aspect of the story, you've also got, I would say, 3 things, not just 2 things. You also got the story itself and how the art has been produced. So some nuances in the way that the art has been visualized, actuated, might make you change your dialogue slightly. And then on top of that, the actual physical room you might have in the panel.
Yes.
So in that case, it's like you might have edited, and I did this a little bit in my own script, and I'm drawing it myself. And I kind of had to stop myself, going, no, leave it, come back to it, put all the text in, and then I actually did some actual editing while I was lettering it, because I had 2 hats on, and then sent it out to a script, to a dialogue writer who's to do that part for me. And then when his stuff came back, then I was able to give it a final edit from my perspective, and then it's off to the editor.
Yeah.
So there's ways that you can shorten that process and not have so much heartache as well.
Well, I had the angel devil on my shoulder. I had 2 people who were from the different mindset of, one said, no, you know, you have to get your script as perfect as possible to send it to the artist, because they need to know what all of this dialogue is. They need to know what the captions are and the narration, so that they can make space in the art, because you don't want to keep going back to them and bugging them for the same page. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, you know. And then the other side was just like, you know, let them do what they're going to do. You can make edits on the back end.
It depends how you're going to write it. If you're going to write it like Stan Lee, then you're just going to go, I want this person here and that person there, and I want it to end up like this, and then you make up the script when the pages come back. But if you want to write it a bit more, let's say a bit more traditionally, you would describe your panels more and think about the amount of text you would have in each panel and what's going on story-wise. But you still don't have to go all the way to the end with that. As long as you've got the rough idea of, a reasonable idea of your script and what's going in the panel, then you can leave that edit again until you see it down on the page, because something might flick a switch in the artwork that makes you think, oh, I did all that editing and actually I'm going to leave that panel blank.
I have a feeling that that's what it might come to. Yeah. But Randy, I actually have to get going. So it was a pleasure to sit with all of you guys for a little bit.
Meredith, the pleasure was ours. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for swinging by.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you guys get a chance to head over to indeevent.com, INDEEVENT, we've got a Crypt week happening November 9th through the 13th. It's all about horror. Quite honestly, I don't know if I'm going to make it to have cosplayers involved, but I am definitely thinking about an artist alley. So if anybody's interested, contact me. I'm thinking about having a page where it's directed right to your seller's site. So something to think about. The theme is horror, crime, thrillers, anything that's spooky, because it's on the tail end of Halloween. We want to bask in the afterglow of Halloween. We don't want to let that go because it's my favorite holiday personally. But thank you guys. I'm going to head out of here.
Thank you, Meredith. Take care.
Take care.
See you
Bye.
soon. When we were talking about 9-panel grids, Glenn said that to him and to me too. I always thought Ditko was one of the first ones to start that, especially in the Marvel universe.
Well, actually, back in the day, in Golden Age, 8 panels a page was pretty usual.
On 4
in the 1940s, especially the early 40s. Those Captain Americas were all 8-panel pages.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of the Simon Kirby stuff was set up like that. But back then, see, they were drawing 2 up also.
Oh, yeah.
They had a lot more space, so they were able to run 4 tiers real easy.
Well, they had, but the sizing of it was still 6x9 in terms of the relationship of what the thing is. So they always had an extra ½ inch in the page, which everything has been. It was like a 7 and a quarter pages wide was what the paper was.
Yeah,
so it gets a little squeezed, but I think they crammed a lot more story on a page than what people do today.
Oh, much more. Yeah. Stinch Whackbacker, thanks for listening. Says I'm out of the poorhouse and addressing in riches now. Randy, good to know. Stinch, thank you. Joe says, a pleasure listening to you all. Excellent topics and answers. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You too, Jim. Stinch says, hope you're all right and making great works. We are, Stinch. We're doing our best. Thanks for asking. 9 Realms says, good morning. How are we doing this morning? We're
awake. We're awake.
Okay. Stinch says, hello, 9 Realms. Glenn says, sounds good, Meredith. Always happy to have her here. 9 Realms says, sup, Stitch. It says, does it twice. So nice. You said it twice. Good show, fellas. Ralph says, and it's time for these boot heels to probably be wandering. We're almost at the top of the hour again. Yeah. So, John, let folks know how they can get a hold of you.
You can get me on Twitter at Celeste John. It's John Celeste at Celeste John. That's CELESTRIJOHN in Twitter. I'm on Kickstarter for another 4 or 5 days. And as you can see, I have just $15 left to reach that goal.
All your grandmas. All you grandmas.
All you
grandmas.
Grandpas and all you grandmas and all kids who get something for your kiddies for Christmas, because it will be. I mean, I'll be going to press at the end of October, so I'll have books by the middle of November, and I'll be shipping.
Give that quick elevator pitch to those that might not have heard from you before.
Doing all age comics. I've got from the ages 4 to 12 years old. I've got 2 series, Snuffy and Zoe's Toy Box Adventures for kids between the ages of 4 and 7, and then I have Nikki Nardson's Mega Moose comics for kids over between the ages of 8 and 12, and superheroes, kids, jumping toy Snuffy and Zoe. They're sibling bears. They jump in their toy box and have all kinds of magic adventures. Dragons, pirates, balloons, cupcakes. Mega Moose is Nikki Nardson is a bullied nerd who gets a magic feather. He tickles his nose and he sneezes, turns into Mega Moose, a giant minotaur type character with all the powers of the animal kingdom. And he strives to survive, through junior and high school.
Sweet. And these are oversized books?
These are oversized books. They're, as you can see, they're 8.25 by 11.75. So they're way oversized in terms of the area, so that you could see what you actually study the artwork. It's like it's the next step up to having an art book, basically.
And that's under John the Animator Comics.
Yep.
On Kickstarter. Not much more to go. Please check that out. Pledge in if you can. Really be appreciated.
Yep.
Russ, how can folks find you?
You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. You can find me at russleach.com or comicbookblackbelt.com. And you can find out more about my book at onlydeathcansavus.com. There is a link there to the live campaign. We're in stretch goal territory now. It's been funded thanks to all the backers. But I'd really like to give away those stretch goals. I've got some color postcards, a set of 4 of the 4 horsemen, and also a rather lovely patch, fabric patch that I'd really like to put in the backers package as well. So I reckon I'm only 30 backers away from being able to get those 4 postcards out to everybody, which would be great.
And let folks know, give us a quick elevator pitch if you could.
Yeah, it's Only Death Can Save Us. It's 80 pages plus. I think it's actually going to be closer to 90 in the end. It's perfect bound. It's full color. 60 pages of story. The rest is concept art, character galleries, that kind of thing. Only Death Can Save Us is a Bronze Age inspired cosmic fantasy romp, bringing together action and pathos as the ancient elemental known as Death leaps from his ethereal retirement to help a young soul protect her loved ones, her world, and even existence itself. It's got strong influences from Kirby, Buscema, Lee, and Stalin, and they're all in there, and that's what my art's all about, and what the storytelling of the book is all about.
And that's over on Indiegogo.
So it's on Indiegogo, yeah. And you can find me on the Twitter, on the Fleecebook, and Instagram, and the Parlay when it works.
Only Death Can Save Us.
30 people. Get your grandmas to buy this too.
Yeah, I reckon around 30 people will get me both of those last final stretch goals. So yeah, that would be great.
Yep, that would be.
If I could make it to 200 backers, I think I might even stretch to a cartwheel.
Don't hurt yourself.
Really?
We need to make more books, so don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. We want to thank Joe D. McPhee for being on the first half of the program. Joe's book, Amazonia, is also available on Kickstarter. It's a great product. Take a look when you can. And pledge in.
Grandma's going to be busy. Come on.
Yeah.
Christmas gifts for everybody. Come on.
Yeah, we're getting our Social Security check soon.
There we go. Well worth your time. That campaign only has 3 days left to go. So run over there and take a look. Daphne, tell us how folks
Well,
can find you.
Sure. Well, if funny animal fantasy is your thing, you can go to talltalesonline.com. That's Tails, Tails, online, and sign up to get the first 3 issues of Tall Tales as downloadable PDFs for free, or you can read all 20 issues on the website for free as well. And if you're also into art tutorials, demos, and the occasional live stream, you can also find me on my YouTube channel at Daphne Lage Art.
And this is the Indie Volt broadcast system, I guess you could say. We are on Indie Volt Radio, indievolt.com. You can listen to us online 24/7. When we're not playing podcasts like this, we are playing great alternative and independent music, all programmed by the Indie Princess. You can get a hold of the app on Google Play, or the Streama app also has Indie Volt available. Or if you ask Alexa nicely to listen to Indie Volt Radio, she might turn that over for you. We also have an Indie Volt TV Roku channel. If you get a chance to get over there and check it out, all sorts of wrestling programs, movies of all types, and an occasional podcast or two on video, including some special extra length videos over there, podcasting with more material than what you would find on our YouTube channel. We're also available on YouTube at the Indie Volt channel. Please go over there, like and subscribe to that. We are desperately hoping someday that we will hit that 1,000 subscriber mark and have to worry about the YouTube censors, and perhaps even take on super chats to help Varian afford all of this bandwidth. We're eventually going to do a podathon, apparently, just to help Varian out, because the cost on this has been pretty exorbitant the last few months. We've gotten quite a reach all over the world. We love your comments and suggestions, so please send those in at IndieVoltLive at indievolt.com. Please include IndieVolt Live in the subject line, or BrEaKfAsT BuZz as far as that goes. And please keep those emails to 90 words or less, so Varian can type them up on the card and we can address them on a future broadcast. And remember, no comment or question you have is too silly or too serious. We love to help you answer questions and educate you, because our feedback will be better because of your setback. Hashtag get an education. Hashtag IndieVolt. And I'm Randy Zimmerman. You can get a hold of me on Facebook or on the Twitter. I don't twit very often, but when I do, it's under Randy Zim. You can find me also over at the Zim Geek channel. That's ZIMMGEEK here on YouTube. And I'm also looking for subscribers over there, so jump over there when you can. I do put up videos sporadically that are cartoon instructionals, or we're talking about the comics and comic market, or other things that I've done in the past. So just want to say we appreciate you all. We appreciate everybody listening. Let's catch the chat before we take off. Another great show, Randy. I look forward to being on again. Yes, Glenn, you'll be on very, very soon. I believe in 2 weeks on Sunday. Stitch says, thanks for hanging, albeit a short bit. Stitch, you're always welcome around, and we're always archived on YouTube. You can listen to us 24/7 over there. Terry Fright Owl says, great show. Very interesting as always. We deeply appreciate you and everybody else listening to the show. We will be back next Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time with another BrEaKfAsT BuZz. Our regular Indie Volt podcast is on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. We also have a Geekgasm program that has the comics and genre media from a feminine perspective, hopefully, that the Indie Princess puts on every once in a while. I do believe it will be on this Wednesday. At least that is the plan. And then I will be back on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with the Sunday Funnies, where we talk about the lighter, more whimsical side of comics. All 3 of our guests here right now have been on the Sunday Funnies program because they all have fun and great products for you to take a look at. So again, I want to thank everybody for listening. Deeply appreciate all of you. We will talk to you soon. Anybody have any last words?
If you don't close your door in the evening, you can't open it in the morning.
You're ready.
Aha.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Is that a Spanish? Is this an English translation of a Spanish goodnight kiss?
I have no idea.
Some kind of Roku.
Randy keeps asking this question, so I finally figured, let me get an answer.
There we go. Or in the immortal words of another artist that we all know.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.
Yes, there is.
Comics are awesome.
Just so you know, comics are awesome, everybody. We hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Take care, everybody. Stay healthy. Be good. We will talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.
Take care, everyone.
Okay.
We'll see you soon.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.
You're not a dish. You're a man.
Well,
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.